What's up, guys? It's Rob here, and today we're going to be talking about AMC and GameStop because both of these stocks are stocks that could be in for pretty big run ups and have actually, over the past week, just about experienced pretty big run ups already. Now, obviously, if you're watching this video, pretty much everyone on the internet is familiar with AMC and GameStop, right? They're two hugely popular stocks. You guys are probably curious where they might be going, and personally, I think that they have been in for a past couple of months that were very, very rough. And they are now in for a future couple of months that could be very, very not rough, right? I think they could be about to see a lot of love. And we're going to talk about why I think that, right? Obviously, looking at these charts, you can see they've both been decimated in a pretty big way, in a way that the market hasn't necessarily been, but the market notably is starting to come back, as is AMC, as is GameStop. We're going to talk about why. Obviously, you guys probably know the immediate catalysts. We're going to talk about why they might be doing well in the future, but also talk about why they declined, right? There are obviously a lot of market pressures that led to not just AMC and GameStop, but the overall market declining over the past couple of months. And you can see specifically for AMC and GameStop, actually, there were some other pressures involving shorts. So these two stocks have been, unfortunately, on the decline pretty much since November specifically, right? November was around the peaks of where they were at before they started a massive decline, right? They started just tanking around November, unfortunately, right? GameStop was actually getting close to making new highs, right? They were on the way up in a pretty significant way. AMC, not as much. They were still holding well above 40, but then they started moving down massively in November. And you can actually see November is around the time when, at least according to Ortex, shorts started piling in. So November 26th for AMC, you can see it was pretty much just a straight-ish line up, right? Obviously, there were some ups and downs on that, but for the most part, shorts just slowly increased and increased and increased their short positions on AMC all the way to where we're at now, 108.89 million shares short, pretty darn close to all-time high short interests on AMC. So obviously, a ton of shorts are just piling and piling in, pushing this thing down. So over the course of that, about 20 million extra shares short, as estimated by Ortex, entered into AMC. Now, GameStop, you can see a similar thing. In fact, back in November, around November 22nd, 23rd, there weren't all that many shorts when we were reaching near the peaks, and then shorts just continued to pile into these stocks, right? They saw the overall markets moving down, and GameStop actually has more shorts in it now at 15.28 million than it's had in the past long time. And I'm going to show you something that a lot of people might not be showing you on the GameStop short interest chart. If you look way back when, GameStop really had massive swaths of shorts in it right before the massive squeeze that it experienced. It did experience a massive short squeeze. You can see there were about 70 million shares short of GameStop. And if you look at it as a percentage of the free float, it's even more impressive, right? As a percentage of the free float before the big squeeze, it was estimated by Ortex to be about 170% of the free float that was short. And then a ton of those shorts had to end up closing their positions. Now, what's happened since, if you zoom back in on the current time frame, the past couple of months that we've been looking at, is we did hit lows of around 8% of the free float, as estimated by Ortex, being short. That has gone up and up and up and up. Now we're around 24%. So it's getting back to a point where it's fairly significant again. So a lot of shorts have been re-entering their positions. A lot of shorts have been shorting these two favorite meme stocks. Now, unfortunately, over the past couple of months, there's not just been shorts. There's been a bunch of negative catalysts for the market overall. People have been very worried about inflation. People have been very worried about the Fed raising rates. People have been worried about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. And that has led to the markets moving down, especially in what's considered to be riskier investments, right? More growth-oriented stocks, especially meme stocks, have been pushed down dramatically. You can see they've been hurt pretty badly. And it's looking like we might actually be nearing the end of that, right? If you're looking at the overall market, you can see that since November, the stock market wasn't doing great, right? There was some volatility there. And we've, especially in more recent months, been getting hit pretty hard, especially if you actually look at smaller market cap stocks like the Russells. That really peaked in November and then got pushed down dramatically. And finally, it's looking like we might be at the end of this roller coaster, right? Hopefully, we're going to be actually on the ascent instead of the descent, which we've been on for the past several months. A lot of these stocks have been crushed. It's looking, though, like a lot of smaller market cap stocks are finally starting to come back. Now, over the next couple of days, it's going to be important to watch for if we start making new highs in these smaller market cap stocks, at least new monthly highs, right? That's at the very least what we want to see. We want to see a continuation of this upwards trajectory for stocks in the Russells and smaller market cap stocks in general, riskier market cap stocks, right? And you can also see we're seeing that in cryptos, right? Bitcoin is looking pretty good at the moment. You can see that Bitcoin also topped out around November and has been on the descent since. Now we're also seeing a rise in Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's back up to around 42,000, almost $43,000 per coin. We're only about $21 off of $43,000 per Bitcoin. Now, cryptos are interesting because they actually do reflect a lot of market sentiment because they don't actually trade too much off of fundamentals since they don't have earnings, they don't have profits or losses or anything like that. It's essentially just how much money people are willing to trade into cryptos and how much money people want to pull out of cryptos. So over the past couple of months, you can see people have been wanting to pull money out of their investments, right? Cryptos have been moving down. Bitcoin is a good overall view of what's going on with the world of cryptos. So you can see people since November have been somewhat fearful, pulling their money out of the markets. They're not as bullish on riskier investments, or at least what's viewed as riskier investments. And finally, we're starting to see those cryptos start to rebound a little bit as we're starting to get a little bit more clarity regarding what the Fed is going to do as the war in Ukraine is starting to really settle in people's minds. People aren't as shocked by it anymore. And potentially will be nearing a resolution sometime in the next month or so. Hopefully that will be the case, and that would certainly be very beneficial for stocks. But in terms of AMC and GameStop, things are looking especially bright, right? You can see that over the past week, just about, both of these stocks are up dramatically. GameStop, right before their earnings call, or in fact, right on their earnings call, right afterwards, they were up from the lows to the highs about 88%. AMC, we saw a similar thing around when GameStop started rallying. From near the lows to the highs, you're up 62%. Now, both of those stocks are actually down a little bit from where they initially got to, right from the highs. But over the next couple of weeks, it's incredibly possible that we could continue to see these stocks come back in a big way because people are starting to make a move back into these riskier assets. People are starting to come back into growth stocks. A lot of growth stocks are actually moving up at the moment, not just AMC and GameStop. Those are two of the larger movers and two of the most popular stocks out there. In fact, you can see GameStop is currently one of the most talked about stocks on Reddit that we've seen in a very long time, right? 1,700 mentions. That's not the impressive part, though. The impressive part is the amount of upvotes that GameStop has been able to get on Reddit. 118,000 upvotes in the past 24 hours. Now, part of this is due to a particular post, right? A particular post on Reddit that we're about to actually take a look at. It's a fairly funny video that someone posted. It's basically GME after the earnings dip. This was posted 19 hours ago, 68,000 upvotes. Let's just take a quick look at what this video is. It's somewhat it's somewhat comical, right? It's essentially just a compilation of all of these people falling, and then they turn into people who are actually doing some interesting dance moves, right? So good stuff, good stuff. That's the meme that ended up rallying GameStop today, or at least rallying GameStop mentions on Reddit today. You can see on StockTwits, AMC is actually taking the limelight, about 19,000 mentions there. And, you know, what's notable is that both of these stocks don't need to trade off the fundamentals, right? There's no fundamental reason why we need these stocks to go up. But what's interesting is they tend to outperform anyways, right? They have done incredibly well in the past. A lot of people like to throw their money into these stocks. It's certainly something that could happen again. In terms of a squeeze, we already looked a little bit at the short interest. You can see both of them are nearing highs, at least over the past couple of months, short interest-wise. So there's a ton of shorts in these stocks, and that is certainly something that might get some people excited, right? These stocks are starting to get a whole bunch of attention on Reddit, on StockTwits. They're starting to get a lot of attention. People are searching for them on Google. Things are looking brighter and brighter, especially as the overall markets are recovering, as people are starting to come back into riskier assets like cryptos. And obviously, you saw the massive gains that we've experienced over the past couple of weeks. Things are looking very bright, in my opinion, for these stocks over the next couple of months. They certainly could return to the areas where they were trading at for a period of months before the initial dip to where they were in November. They could certainly get there. If they could get to all-time highs, that would be very impressive as well. I think that's possible. Considering their market caps, they are nowhere near where they were at the all-time highs, about $10 billion. For AMC and about $10 billion for GameStop. They like to sit around there. And, you know, people really could plow a lot of money in. Retail has been hurt over the past couple of months. Retail has been very scared. A lot of people have gotten out of the markets due to all the fear. and all the negative catalysts surrounding the rise in the price of oil, the war in Russia and Ukraine, inflation, fears of the Fed. A ton of people have pulled their money out of the markets. That has reflected itself in AMC and GameStop. These stocks could be in for a fairly significant run up, right? Not off of the fundamentals, but off of the movement, off of the apes moving more money into these stocks, off of people wanting to squeeze the shorts out, and potentially off of some excitement that is now building on Reddit and Wall Street Bets and on StockTwits, right? A lot of people are starting to talk about these stocks again. They have experienced big pops. One thing with AMC that I did want to point out is that the levels that we got to just a couple of weeks ago were very similar, very close to the levels that we were at right before the initial big pop, right? It was right around $13, $14, right around that range where we were right before a big explosion in AMC stock price. And that's right around where we were at before this big pop in AMC stock price. Now, this pop is obviously not as big as the past pop, and we'll see if we can get back to that zone, right? I'm not saying that I think we're about to explode upwards like we did back then. It's possible that we could. I would expect maybe a more steady ascent as the market starts to get a more sure footing. But obviously, that's just my opinion, not financial advice. I'm just letting you guys know what I think about these stocks. I think that right now we're in a very exciting time, right? A lot of stocks have been hurt pretty dramatically. I think that it's just about time that these stocks start coming back and hopefully coming back in a big way. Obviously, the market's going to tell us what's going to happen. We're going to have to watch the markets. But if you guys are interested in these stocks, now is looking, in my opinion, like a better time to start looking into them a little bit more, to start being a little bit more excited. We might be done with the pain. That's just my opinion. Once again, though, not financial advice. I'm not recommending anyone do anything with their money. I'm just letting you guys know what I think about these stocks and what I think is going on in the markets and what we might see over the next couple of weeks and months. So if you guys appreciate that, feel free to subscribe to the channel. That's much appreciated. And other than that, have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next one.